The Pittsburgh Steelers will be drafting Alabama's quarterback Jalen Milroe in the first round, pick number 21 in this year's NFL draft. Or at least many think. But first, before I get more into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers have had dinner with Jalen Milroe, but that's not it. Because an NFL analysis just came out and said that if he is there at pick number 21, he is going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, let's take it all the way back before Jalen Milroe's Alabama Pro Day, because that's when all the interest from the Pittsburgh Steelers sparked, as Tom Pelissero from NFL Network put out a tweet saying that former Alabama quarterback had dinner with Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin, general manager Omar Khan, and quarterbacks coach Tom Arth ahead of his pro day. So, Pittsburgh continues to explore all options at quarterback and owns the 21st pick in April's draft. That's what Tom Pelissero put out. And typically the Steelers' pro day dinners involve several athletes. So it's possible Milroe isn't the only prospect in attendance, but his name is the headliner. Milroe is fighting to be a top draft pick in the tier 2 of quarterbacks in this year's NFL draft, behind obviously Cam Ward and Shadir Sanders. He's one of the best athletes in the draft in total at any position, as Milroe puts his legs to good use through his college performances, and over his 2 years as a Crimson Tide starter, he rushed for 32 touchdowns, including 20 this past season. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for a quarterback, whether that's in free agency, in Aaron Rodgers for one season, but that would just be a bridge quarterback. They're looking for their franchise guy, and Jalen Milroe might be a guy that they take a shot on in this year's draft, whether that's the first round of this year's NFL draft, like this one analysis says. So now they know the background information with the dinner thing, let's look at what Colin Cowherd said that an NFL executive and insider told him. And it involves the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting him at pick number 21. So here's his quote on that. I talked to an NFL exec last night, very well connected, and this is keep your head on a swivel. Aaron Rodgers, I'm told the Steelers really like Jalen Milroe. 21st pick, first round. So if Aaron signs with Pittsburgh, it's going to become Kirk Cousins. They're taking a quarterback. If the 21st pick, Milroe's not taken, Pittsburgh is leaning now and taking him. End quote. So Colin Cowherd is really putting himself out there on this take, basically saying that everything he's heard leads to the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting quarterback Jalen Milroe in the first round, pick number 21. And to be honest, me personally, this would surprise me if the Steelers wound up taking a first round quarterback, given their need along the defensive line. But quarterback is a position they have failed to figure out since Big Ben Roethlisberger's retirement. If they believe Milroe can be a franchise guy, franchise player, they very well could take a swing at him, even in a weak quarterback class. There could be 2 to 3 quarterbacks taken in the first round, and with the Steelers not having a second round pick, they may need to take Milroe in the first if they really want him. Because if they don't believe he's going to make it to round 3, and they don't want to trade up and give up more assets to move up to round 2 or late round 1, then they might have to take him at pick number 21. And we all know the Pittsburgh Steelers, in past years, they don't really be trading down in the draft. They usually trade up. So the Pittsburgh Steelers aren't going to trade their 21st pick and move down and select Jalen Milroe a little bit later. They more than likely would wind up trading up for him if they wanted him. But pick number 21 may be the spot, says Colin Cowherd. And if he lands there at pick number 21 and he's not taken yet, the Steelers will be taking him. So it's worth monitoring if Jalen Milroe makes it pre-draft visit to Pittsburgh, as they will be a clear sign of the team's interest. While taking a developmental quarterback in the first round might not be the best strategy, the Steelers really have no long-term plan at the position, and drafting Milroe and letting him develop for a year doesn't seem like an out-of-question kind of topic. We saw the Atlanta Falcons target Kirk Cousins, get him, and then draft Michael Penix in the first round and have him sit. And we saw Michael Penix end up working out late towards the end of the season for the Falcons. So wouldn't it be a surprise that the Pittsburgh Steelers are still targeting Aaron Rodgers, but then want Milroe on top of it? The only surprise here would be drafting Milroe in the first round, because many people have him being a second or third, fourth round quarterback in the draft. And we all know how that worked out last time the Pittsburgh Steelers selected a quarterback who was not a first round quarterback. Because we have kind of deja vu. The Steelers in the Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett draft, those guys weren't considered first round quarterbacks. And the only quarterback taken high in the draft was by the Steelers when they drafted Kenny Pickett. Other than that, all the other quarterbacks dropped to the third round. And no one was taken until then. So we saw last time what happened when the Pittsburgh Steelers went and reached for a quarterback. It didn't work out. And that's why many people see this Milroe thing and are just like, hey, the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be reaching for a quarterback once again. They're having deja vu because last time when it happened with Kenny Pickett, it didn't work out. But when you consider the Pittsburgh Steelers needing a quarterback, sometimes you have to throw a dart at the dartboard and just hope it sticks. And even if you're reaching for a guy, sometimes that people are unexpecting to be great. When you reach for a guy and it works out, that's going to be beneficial for you. So if the Pittsburgh Steelers really like this guy in Jalen Milroe, think he could be a really good quarterback, and no other team has seen it in him, and they want to take that chance on him, and they believe he could be a franchise quarterback, why wouldn't you take your franchise quarterback at pick number 21? Pick number 21 in round 1 for a franchise quarterback is a great spot to get him. Now, if he doesn't end up winding up being a great quarterback, then you can see why all the questions and all the things pre-draft saying, why are you going to take a quarterback at pick number 21? It never works out. Then you can see why all that's right. But if it ends up working out, that's when it becomes greatness. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they really believe in him, they'll take him. If they don't, they don't. But they're meeting with him pre-draft for a reason. They don't have a second round pick. And will he make it to the third round? Who knows? You just look at what he did in his pro day, and his pro day really helped his draft stock because he had a great performance there. He ran like a 4.37 40-yard dash time. He did some really good work in terms of throwing, but obviously there's no pads, there's no people coming at him, there's no fans in the building, so obviously you just throw it on air, and everyone looks good throwing on air, but he still had some really good throws, and just a really good pro day in general in terms of his testing numbers as well, alongside the 40-yard dash time. So he's a player the Pittsburgh Steelers once again met with before his pro day for dinner. And we all know when the Pittsburgh Steelers show interest in a guy, you have to keep your eye on him. Just to let you know, once again, the Pittsburgh Steelers brass of GM, head coach, quarterbacks coach, they met with him before the pro day, and they, per Colin Cowherd, really love him as a quarterback and might take him at pick number 21 if he falls to them. Per reports, the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking for something special at quarterback. And Jalen Milroe in this quarterback class is the most physically gifted player in the draft class. And he is special in his own way because of that. So that makes him the most special quarterback in this year's draft class. And he's a complete raw prospect when you look at him. He's kind of inconsistent in terms of his throwing, but if he develops that and he works on that with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he will be one of the greats. Because if he could fix that, he's already one of the best running quarterbacks first day in the NFL. He would be top 5 in terms of running quarterbacks purely with his legs. In terms of scrambling out of pocket and making plays, he's a player that does that as well. So Jalen Milroe is a physically gifted guy, and the Pittsburgh Steelers, if they're looking for someone who's special, Jalen Milroe is that person in this quarterback class. If you're looking for a guy who could hit the highest ceiling, it will be Jalen Milroe. Because if he develops as a passer, he already has all the tools needed to be a great quarterback other than that. So the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted him at pick number 21. It may be a reach, but maybe they view him as the next Jalen Hurts. The Pittsburgh Steelers need a quarterback, and pick number 21 may be the spot. Jalen Milroe to the Steelers, who knows? We're going to have to wait and see, but obviously Colin Cowherd has come out and said that it's happening. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be drafting Jalen Milroe. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers need a quarterback. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Jalen Milroe is going to pick number 21? Would you fall back in the draft, trade down, and then pick Jalen Milroe? Or if he's there at pick number 21, are you fine with the Steelers taking him? We all know the Steelers need defensive line, they need cornerback, they need a lot of positions in this draft, and many people didn't have them selecting a quarterback in this year's draft class. But when you need a quarterback, why wouldn't all options be on the table? Next year, of course, you're stacking them on draft picks and could trade up, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this video. Also, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports, and all the news and rumors. I'm covering it as well. So stay tuned to this channel, like, comment, and subscribe. And until the next video, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.